Let's try that again. Okay, this time I think the audio is actually working. But it was good. Last time, even though nothing worked, I was still given an opportunity to think about how I want to do this. So we're doing, again, the Druid spell, which is an area of effect AoE spell, which will not heal your members. I already have that one working, which is shown here. If you can see, this is the Tranquility spell. These are going to be renamed because currently they're total ripoffs of World of Warcraft, which is the inspiration of this Druid. It was a big... I love that class. It was my main one. It's actually what kind of... No, it is actually what got me really into MMOs to begin with. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. You could be a cat, or you could be a strong bear. You could heal if you want. I love to heal. I like healing as a Druid and showing people that you didn't have to be a priest. You could main heal as a Druid. You could do it. So... happy to do that. And that was actually the first class ever made for this game before the game was even released, but I scrapped it because changing forms, even way back then when it was pretty much text-based, was too much of a pain in the ass for me, and guess what? It still is now. So anyways, here's one of the spells that I got working. The healing spell, which will heal while channeling, so meaning as long as you don't get hit or move, it'll heal your surrounding enemies. So I got that working yesterday, or maybe the day before, one of the two, maybe both. I was working on it. So what remains is the Innervate equivalent. I'm going to be renaming these spells, of course, because I don't really want to completely directly rip off World of Warcraft. I'll put my own spin on it. Right? But basically the effect will be, which is cool, it restores your party members and yourself as well, nearby friendly allies, mana and rage. So if you are fighting the good fight and you find yourself a little low on mana or rage, your local druid can help you out. So that's actually a big part of what I'm trying to do for this class, is make it a good buff class, kind of like the Bard from EverQuest. So no music involved, but a lot of buffs involved to make yourself and your friends stronger. Also, to make your enemies weaker, and that's a big one I do need to work on, is the ability to, and it's easy for players, online players, like for PvP, to debuff them, to give them negative buffs, reduce their stats for a period of time. But that doesn't work really in the game code for NPCs, and that is one thing I need to get working, because that'll open up a whole avenue of things that I can do, including their own buffs, which they could do like Enrage, where if they get low on health, all of a sudden they become briefly stronger, that kind of fun set, that kind of thing. So not to mention all the debuff that you can put on them, not like damage over time, which we currently have, but actual buffs, debuffs, which will weaken them or slow them down or whatever. So doing this Druid has actually been a pretty great thing for the game. I've been fixing a lot of bugs, adding new features, for example, the whole AoE channel spell ability, which I got working not too long ago, like I was showing with the Tranquility. But let's get going with the Innervate. Let's get mana and rage going. So what I need to do here is update my mana to be not full. I'm going to do that right now. Okay. Cool. Let's just say, what is it? What? Almost 500,000. So we'll set it to 250,000. That should do it. Now you can see that has changed. On the screen, right here, my little blue bar is about half full. So I want to make it to where when I cast this spell, it regenerates. Right now, it does nothing. It literally, I'm surprised it actually is kind of working as it is. It does nothing. Has no effect. It says that it should increase mana, but that command does not do a thing. Alright, so let's take a look here. I'm not going to be showing the database that I'm working on because that is confidential. For now, at least. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The code that I'm showing is mostly of no consequence. I'm sure some genius will figure out a way to use it against me, but whatever. We are looking at innervate. It says mpgen 100. What does that mean? 100. That must be just a placeholder. So how do I want it to work? Again, percent base or set base. So mpgen equals right now is assigned a numeric value. Should be percent base. This might be a case where that would make sense. To be honest, would be a lot less development needed. Let's try that. Let's see how it works. We do it percent based, and if it's insane and overpowered, we'll come back, just like we're going to do with lifesteal with the philosophers, which is way overpowered. It's going to fix that percent based nature of it and rein it in. So the main issue is it's also affected by your stats. That really makes it really powerful. So for the lifesteal for philosopher. So what I think I'm going to do for that one is not make it percent based, and instead actually make it where it's a fixed value and you rank up the spell just like any other spell, and it is affected by your stats, and that would make more sense because straight up percent based is whew, plus your stats on top of it. Eventually you start killing things really fast. Way too fast. So we gotta fix that. So I'm trying to avoid that here, but I think in this case I won't have this spell affected by your stats, which further makes me want to have it a talent received, talent awarded spell, something you don't necessarily get by default. You actually have to work up to get the talent one. So not affected by stats, base amount of whatever I deem it. So let's see. What would it be? 100%? Now maybe not. I mean, by 100%, what I mean is it would restore 100% worth of the surrounding person's allies' mana or rage throughout the whole spell. Once the whole channel completes, it would be done. 100% is kind of a lot. I'm thinking more like 50, or maybe even less, and have it to where you can upgrade it to where it can get up to 50. Be pretty awesome. Yeah. So let's start at. Five. Let's start at 50. I think 50 is a cool number, and maybe have it where you can. I don't know. We'll see. We'll let it evolve and figure out. I don't have a set really planned for that right now. We're just going. We're winging it. Doing it flying by the seat of our pants. So, okay. So that's throughout the entire... So, it can't be 50% every tick, because that would be insane, so it has to be spread out. So, Okay. I do have to now probably go to, this is actual server-side game code. Nothing too fancy. Nothing too fancy. So let's see, is this where my can cast spell? Alright. We're actually gonna have to the actual attack code here. Oops. So it's all the qualifiers, and now we've got specific spell handlers. Let's see. We could put it in there in this area for now. And things like life drain are handled here. This is what we have to do. This needs fixed. Needs repair. I misspelled repair. That's how bugs happen. All right, so all right. Balance. This is balance. Finally got that working. That is a philosopher spell. Now what we need to do here is make a area for innervate. We'll just call it that for now. But it's for MP regen. So what I'm thinking about is, do I want to make it specific to the spell or make it to where MP regen spells work uniformly? This is going to be strike per tick. It needs to be modified, therefore, by the duration of the spell. It's a channel, so the way I built it, so it actually has a negative cast time versus the other spells. It goes down. You'll see. Instead of building up to it and casting it, it lasts as long as that green bar lasts. And now it's gone, and you're done. So I need to use that cast time, or that negative cast time, as a modifier. Let's do it. Okay. What ID are you? Spell. Let's see. 79. Let's remember how to write code. Alright, so in case it is ID 79, so that is, here, we're switching the spell ID. So depending on what number is here is what we'll do. This is spell ID 79, so when it is that spell that is cast and it is sent to this function, it'll do whatever I tell it to in here. Okay. Just checking some things, don't mind me. Let me know if audio's bad, music too loud, what have you. So I'm dependent on you guys to assist me there. The first attempt at this was a disaster. Everything was muted, it was on the wrong inputs. It was a whole thing gone wrong. So I just started over again. Scrapped it, started from scratch. Sometimes that's the best way to go. Sometimes it's not, even though it's tempting. Developers have a lot of things to question. Do I start over or just fix the broken mess? There's so many questions. So many answers. That's the hard part. There's so many answers too. So many different ways to do things. But all right, so if it's 79, we're going to be checking on our the effect of the spell, which is not. It's not an overtime spell, so it's not going to be actually a spell that's applied to the recipient of the spell, like overtime heal. So we can't rely on their effects. Like, for example, be like victim. Even though it's a positive, it's a good spell. It's still called the victim is the name of the game. It's a receiver. Should have been called like receiver, but whatever. Victim it is. The victim of the awesome spell that helps you out. So normally it'd be like victim stats effects, and then we refer to the MP regen, and then this would be the variable that would contain. Do I call it MP regen or MP gen? Do I have any? Yeah, okay. There is another spell that may not even work or be in the game anymore, but it uses this MP gen nomenclature, so I will stick to that. Another thing about developers, what do I call these things? What do I name these variables? There's so much time that goes into that. You couldn't imagine how much time that goes into that thing. That is where I would not mind AI helping out a little bit. I waste so much time thinking about names, labels, they could be whatever. It literally could be effects poop, and it would do the exact same thing if I applied that label elsewhere in the code. So, but we're not applying this effect to the victim in this case, so I cannot use that. It can only be from the spell itself. which is weird. It's very weird. I need to see how these spell effects are generally applied. And usually it's done in overtime. I think this is going to be one of the rare cases where effects are applied not in an overtime spell, an OT spell as I call them. So, yeah, I think I'll have to refer to that function. Function insert. Spell. All right, so effects. Here is how we parse effects. I would really like this to be a function in itself so I can call it in multiple places. Because right now, I think this is the only place where spell effects are actually parsed. Yeah. Oof. So I need this code again to pull the proper effect, right, from the spell. This is where all the overtime shields, stuns, there are no XP gaining spells, but I put it in there just in case everyone wanted to do it. Some type of XP gaining buff or something like that, right? I don't have that at the moment. It was the headphone on my leg. I thought it was a spider. Freaked me out. So, okay, these are where your stats get buffed, and then anything else. Kind of modifier, some kind of rank modifier. I don't even remember what this even does. I need to comment this, but rank modifier? We might even need that. Yeah, is it necessary to differentiate numeric versus non-numeric here? I have questions about my own code. It happens. Some of this stuff is really old. I just have to let bleed go through this for some reason. No. Bleed is numeric. So we do that, okay. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. What I need is this parser. But there's some special things that happen in it here, shit, that apply specifically to this function. So I can't just like copy paste it and make it its own function and call it. There's specific things that need to happen, namely here. Just put this as like a return value. I don't even know what this even does. Alright. In this case it's serialized, but that's what we'll do. We'll give it we'll build it as an array, just like it's here. So we'll try it out. I need this as a separate function because I have to call this again. This might actually come into play and be beneficial for when I do the okay. Is this break variable used? Break equals 1. What does break equals 1 do? That looks like old code that I probably did before I could realize you could literally just call break itself and kill the loop. I don't think this is actually used. Where am I using the break? In this function at all? Yeah, it's being set there to 1, but doing what? Some special condition. Stun break. This is why properly naming things is important. Alright. I'm actually going to rename it because that is super confusing. Alright, finally do proper except at the very high. Stun break. And we gotta make sure to update it in all the spots. So, 1. That's why we're doing numeric, putting it in the database. That makes sense. It's also why you can't just delete code that doesn't make sense to you. I was tempted to just be like, it's old code. Let's just delete it. That would have been bad. Okay. All right. Alright, so now we know at least what that is, but now we have another problem. There's multiple things that happen here in this parser. I guess we could use that logic and pull it out. Why? think I may have done this in the case where certain abilities might affect your ability to cast a spell, and therefore I have to update the entire spell bar. Oh man. We'll leave that for now. We'll worry about that in a minute. We gotta make some progress here. Can't just ponder and plan the entire time. Eventually, we actually got to do something. Alright. I'll put it above. I thought, did I put related functions above or below? Sometimes I can't tell. Alright, here, we're gonna build a new function here. What shall we call it? Parse spell effect. I could put string in there, but we also would need the target. So I should have, not receiver, target makes better sense. I like target. Alright, but I believe those are needed. Okay. I'm just thinking, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about what to do in advance, which I'm sure is super not exciting. Planning. I'm a little tripped up by that spell needs update variable. Alright, so oof. Okay, do that. We'll keep a string. Just to let you guys know it's a string. Say if it exists or whatever. Be more verbose, but it's not empty. Other programmers will no doubt have a whole bunch of comments about the way I do things, but that's fine. That's the thing about programming. Again, there's so many answers, there's so many different ways to do things, and to say that this is the right way is often a statement that comes with caveats. Okay. Okay. So we're going to build effects. Actually, I could have put like effects here, and this would be the array. That's fine though. Okay. Spell. We already have that. That's literally what this is doing. Okay. So all this because I need to be able to parse out the spell effects as it's being passed to the attack function. Now why do you say, well, just copy paste it and put it in that function? Well, now I've got like really redundant code. Like 2 sections of code are using the same code. That just makes things messy. What if I need to modify it? Now I got to remember to modify it in both places. That's just how bugs happen. So it's, in my opinion, when you're doing 2 operations that are borderline identical, don't have duplicate code for it. Just make a function out of it. You can overdo that though, where you have a function do freaking everything, and you have this super function that is a monster, and you don't even know what's even going on with it anymore. So you can, it's a balance. It's a balance. Using the string, not spell effects anymore. So I think it's just here. Alright, so basically what we're doing right now is turning that string into an array that we will iterate through. And then build a new array out of the results of this. So, okay. So here's caster. Oh, we've got caster. What about the target? So it looks like it's just caster based. So for now, I will put caster. Oh, it's already that. What am I doing? So I haven't started thinking about things. other than the code I'm writing at the moment. Okay, caster stats. Really needs to be make sure that caster stats exist here, otherwise this will error out. What else are we calling this? Is it just here? Okay, it is just there. I'm just going to do this. It's kind of a pop out. That way, it makes sure that that variable exists. Because if you try to call an object, call on an object or a variable as if it's an object when it is not, your whole application will crash. At least in this version of PHP, which is the language I'm using. It's PHP, in case you didn't know. This is the name of the programming language for the server-side code. For this stuff, for the game client code, this is JavaScript. It's regular, old-fashioned JavaScript, believe it or not. Doing all that cool 3D stuff. Kind of neat, huh? Alright. Fix. Break. That is important too. So we need to... Okay, so this, I think I'm just going to detect after the function is called. That is the whole point of this, other than setting that. This is what trips me out. Because if it's anything other than all these, but what would that even be? I don't know. I really don't know. That's a problem. Really, what is this? Not a great question to be asking yourself in code. I do need to verify with that. I know it's related to updating the whole spell bar, and sometimes that's aggressive, and that's costly to upgrade the whole spell bar versus just saying, hey, can you cast this spell, yes or no? Can you cast this spell, yes or no? Whether or not like to change the colors of everything. Versus sending all the HTML and pulling up, so it's for optimization. It's an optimization related function. I don't know how important it is. Let me see. That's fine. Alright, we're building a function here. So what we're going to be returning here, the result of the function will be this effects. The result of the parsed data. Okay, spell break. Oh man, we might actually have to pass the whole spell variable here. I mean, that's fine. That makes actually a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yes, for spell. And damn it, I already put that one in. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get the spell working. I promise. You might not think so by this current rate of lack of progress, but we're gonna do it. Alright. Fine. Spells. Reference. Caster. Anything else? Any other data we need to feed this function? It's all about inputs and outputs. What we put into it and what we need to pull out of it. And everything must be satisfied. I think that looks okay. And we're going to test it by actually updating this live in the game. Isn't that crazy? Alright. So this is in our insert OT spells, and I'll be able to test this pretty quickly. So let's see. To test this, we will comment out this whole thing. Is effectively disabling it. Disabling all that code. It is blue. It is turned off. Commenting it out, because you can write comments like, this code does whatever. But now we're actually just pretending that this actual formally functional code is just nothing but a comment. It's not, but it's a really quick way to disable code. Because the comments are not processed, obviously. Okay, so now what we're going to do is effects equals self, referring to the same class of functions. This is just a way to organize functions. It's nothing too fancy. Once you learn how to do it, it's like, okay. Just an organization tactic. Alright, so we're going to pass the spell. Gotta make sure we spell correctly. Okay. And that should yield us exactly what all this parsing does, but we need to do the fancy stuff, like the stun break thing. I'm pretty sure that's important. Okay. I believe it's related to hamstring for assassins. So we're going to actually now loop through our parsed effects. Now instead of it being a string that needed to be parsed, we have a nice data variable array to access and manipulate and use. Okay, so basically if it has an effect that has, what was the name of it? Damn it. Is it just stun? If it's just stun, ooh. That 1 equals break. We might need this value. Can we not put it on the effect? What would happen? Invalid into nothing. And we'll lose the effect. We can't have that. Why are we messing with this spell? Why are we altering? So we are altering the spell here. Oh man, this might be harder than I thought. Can of worms. Everything's a can of worms. Spell is indeed being altered. That's okay. We can actually maybe use that to our advantage. Alright. So, this variable is actually being altered in this parsing process. Not clean, but we'll allow it. We'll pass it by reference, meaning it can be altered. If this variable now being altered in this function will alter it outside of the function as well. Usually we're living in our own world here inside this function. Anything we change in here only exists in here, aside from what we return, what we give back from the function. But now, since this is passed by reference, changing it here will actually change it on the outside of this function as well. So the parent function that called it, at least. So this will work now. So now we can kind of cheat it. So here's what I'm thinking. We will do this. This should be inconsequential. We'll just kind of slam another variable into the spell thing that didn't originally have called, what was it? Spell, we'll just say, yeah, spell break. Well, stun break makes more sense. Stun break. Unseparated is fine. Okay. Equals true. So we're not going to be using this variable here anymore. We're going to be putting it on to that, and this one may be the same. I mean, it'll work. It's a little unclean. It's using an unintended passenger, or not passenger, unintended vehicle to send some information. Not super clean. Usually this is a path of disaster, but such is the nature of Tides of Time. Alright, we set our flag there on the spell, which is going to be returned through reference. Alright. Okay, that's how we're doing it. Stun break equals if spell. I'm just gonna make it consistent. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't need an underscore. We know what it is. There's nothing. Spell is need update. Will. Let's get more of it down there. Doing that. Same idea. I might do strict type checking, just like this, to make sure, because usually 1 and true are the same thing, and 0 and false, but if you do strict type checking, they're not. So I have to make sure that these are set correctly. This also is passed by reference, so then we'll go here. We don't need to do this. My dog just farted. It smells horrible. Alright. Okay. So now, this reference variable should be satisfied. Stun break is passed as this. We'll have to check that at some point. Using that. So, okay. So if everything went correctly, I should be able to update this and do some testing, and things should be fine. I have no NPCs here really to check what key spells with. I can just cast up them on myself, I suppose. This music's bumping. It says it's not copyright, but I'm sure it is, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, I'm updating the source file now. I am resetting the server. Alright, no fatal errors at least. We need to see if OT effects, overtime effects, still work. And I'm going to do that using one of our new spells here as a kitty cat, because it wears away really fast. It is a strength enhancing spell. Oh. Ooh. I think we just saw a first example of it not working correctly, because when I shift forms, it's supposed to update the spell bar for me, and it did not. Good. At least I know that that broke. Alright, it needs to not. So I need to do a little bit of debug here. Yeah, okay. That looks correct. Is this not working? It is passed by reference. That should be correct. Spell spell. All it takes is a little typo. Setting it to true there. Stun break, setting it true here. We can get rid of that. Okay, that should fix that, I think. It's a little typo. We're checking for the wrong name. It would have needed to be that. But we're going to keep it consistent with the parent variable. And this all is necessary just because this expects it to be a number, and this expects it to be a Boolean, true or false. So we do a little extra bit of work to make sure that it is in its correct form. All right, we will upload the file, which has the patch to corrections. We will reset the code again, which sometimes disconnects people, sorry. All right, so now, I'm just going to refresh. Shouldn't be necessary here, but oh, it looks like it worked. Okay, try it again. Go to cat. Boom. It is now correctly updating the spell bar. Okay, good. But let me do what I was originally going to do and make sure that the buff spells still work. And I'll do that by this training page. My strength is 1348. After I cast this spell, it should be increased by 20%. So let's check that. What would that be? Do we want to check the math and make sure that the spell's working correctly? So what is it? 1, 3, 4, 8, 8 times 1.2. That's a 20%, right? That's what the spell said, 20%. 20%. That's what it should be. So it should increase me. Try to like 1.6 something? Okay, so let's do it, let's try it. Tiger's Fury. And then I refresh. There we go, exactly. Perfect, wonderful. Love when things look good. Good, so anyways, all that, just to make sure that things are exactly the same they were before I did anything. So it may look like we've done nothing, but in fact, we've done everything. Not everything, but a lot. Okay, so now we can take this function and use it to parse the spell effects when this particular spell is being cast. So let's go find our function. Okay. Here it is. Effects. Now, we're not overriding any variable here, are we? No. Good. Want to make sure that I wasn't using that name effects already and overriding it. Does not seem to be the case. Okay. Spell is this function. Uppercase spell. Fruit fly. Hate you. Okay. Caster in this case would be attacker in this particular situation. In this function, so we are passing it the correct data. All right. Now simply this. I mean, this doesn't even need to be. This, I feel like this could be outside and just tested more universally than for this exact spell. I want to do it that way. Something everything is telling me to do it that way, but we'll save this just in case. It doesn't work out. We'll see. In case it doesn't work. Didn't complete that sentence out loud. All right. Just in my mind brain. All right. So this is all spell specific stuff. Does it make sense to? All right, this is all qualifier, status setting. Okay. Generic. All right, we'll do it. And we have it where this early out, where if it doesn't have effects. All right, good. Make sure it has it. That's fine. That takes almost no resources at all to check that. And now if it doesn't have effects, it won't do anything, right? We'll return effects. Make sure this is a variable that is built already. We don't want to return nothing. This expects to return right? Which, by the way, again, I know I can do it like this, like and just set it to where, like, if it has to return an array or whatever. But I'll do a code pass and do that one day. Just like I did a whole code pass to get this into static functions instead of functions where I'd have to be like, oh my god, I need to be my MySQL class. So I have to be like global MySQL and then just messy. So we got. I redid all of it. All right. So anyways. It does indeed do an early out. So that way I want to make sure that we don't do any extra work. So if it does that, so if it is not empty, the effects variable should be an empty array if it doesn't have, if the spell doesn't have effect. Let's see. Sorry. Again, brain went into suspend mode while I was thinking about something. Something completely different. All right. Kitty behind me. Oh, he's mad I'm not playing. All right. We just went on a long walk before we started this. And I played stair game, which means I run up and down the stairs with him. And he had a treat thing. Right on the floor right there. Spoiled doggy. Alright. If affects MP gen. Alright. Oh boy. Alright. How do we do this? Now we're to the fun part. We've passed all the data, and now we actually have to do something with it. Okay. So it's going to be relating to the victim. So it's going to be victim, basically, MP equals victim, their mana, MP, increasing times the effect, which in this case is, so here we're going to find our modifier. Jam it. Okay. All right, so in this case I have it as what, 50 is the value it should be. So it'll be, ensuring it is an integer. We're not going to do any math with no words. All right, so it's 50, so we'll be dividing it by 100 to get our percent value. But like I said, this cannot regen 50 every time. Every time it ticks. So this is a channeled spell, which is going to tick multiple times, multiple times. I believe twice a second. Is how they're supposed to run for as long as it does. So if it's like a 5-second spell, it'll tick 10 times essentially. So we have to take that into account. All right, we're going to get the absolute value of the cast time. Absolute means even if it's negative, we consider positive. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. See how that works? So we'll take the, we're gonna find our cast time here. I feel like that variable is used. CT, set cast time. All right. Spell, cast a tone. Put the absolute value of it. Add this. It's our built-in PHP function to return the absolute value. So, only applies. This is only apply if it's a channel. It might. Which would be indicated by this cast time being less than 0. A negative value for the cast time indicates that it is a channeled spell. So modifying our modifier. All right. All right, like I said, times 2 happens twice a second. So modifier is actually going to be divided by this, right? Let's think about it. So it's 5 seconds. 5 seconds, so it's in there as -5, but it'll be 5, 10, count be 10. So current modifier, let's say is 50%, it'll be 0.5, this will be 0.5, plus opener, just so we don't have to rely on my stupid brain to do math. Divided by, what did I say it'd be 10, so, which would be 0.05. Yep, and that's how much it should be. That's right. Now we're affecting the victim's mana, so we will be doing. I want to do a keep like this. Let's just say our value is this. I'm not going to directly apply the variable, so I can output it first, so I can see that, make sure the numbers are correct before I actually do any crazy. Well, I guess it'd be only me who can cast it, but still, we want to make sure it's right. So we're going to find our actual value. It's going to be, we're going to have to do a thing called seal. In case it's a fraction, it'll round up no matter what. So you don't want to, if it's 0.4 mana for some reason, we don't want to say person casts Innervate, you gain 0 MP. At least give him 1, right? Okay. Before we actually do anything, I'm going to output this into my combat log. Nice little way to do this. All right. If this all works, we should see a value being pumped into this combat log over here. If it didn't, we won't. Or we'll see a wrong value. We'll see. I'd be okay with the wrong value. What I don't want to see is absolutely nothing. Connected, let's pump out a cat form. All right, we can do it now. We'll cast our Innervate. Make sure we're good. All right. Here it goes. Do we see something or not? A disconnect from the server. Worst possible scenario. Okay. So something went so wrong in here that it literally broke the game. All right, I actually have to log into my server to check that. So for this, we will be, no, wrong program. This is a WinGrep program, great for finding files. I need to go and pull out the error log here of what happened. So, let's see. Alright. What error does it say happened? Okay. Oh, dear God. Am I a complete and utter amateur? That's not a fun. That's how you cast variables. Invalid. How long have I been writing PHP? 15 years? Ah, stupid thing. Amateur mistake. It happens. I'm not used to writing code with people watching. So really should be the same. Can't reset the server when I'm modifying it. So, now that that amateur hour is behind us. Let's try again. I will. Okay. All right, we're back. Innervate. Did it work? Did it not work? Let's check it. If something happened, well, should now at least not see the server crash. Oh, look at that. We've got values. That's about right. I have a huge mana pool. So it's like 4, 6, 8. And I'm getting like 23,000. So there should be 10 ticks of 50%, right? So 4, 6, 8. Oh wait, hold on. That's my mana. Oh, so it's going by my percentage of current mana, not my actual mana pool. It should be your full mana pool, ladies and gents. That's what I was going for. Because that is static. That doesn't change unless you level it. Try again. What do we got? Same. Oh, because I'm at max. Okay, right. I was already at max. So let me reduce my mana pool. Actually, you know what? Let me do the math, make sure it's good. So, alright. It's gonna take 10 times and it's at 50%. So, alright, 4, 6, 8, 4, 6, 9. That's fine. 4, 6, 8, 4, 6, 9. So 4, 6, 8, 4, 6, 9. Oh, wait a moment. 4, 6, 8, 4, 6, 9. Okay. And percent of that is that. And then we need to divide that, what, by 10, right? That's it. So this will regenerate 50% of my mana pool. So let's actually put my mana less than 50%, and we should get to almost 50% when I cast it. Nothing is happening. Did I update the code? I did not. It doesn't actually do anything yet. Is mana allowed to be increased for the victim? Oh. We'll see. We'll see if it works. I know it's obviously supposed to be decreased for the attacker. That works. Let's see. Yes, it does. We've got moving mana. Boom. That's it. Let's verify this. Let's go down to well under 50%. This should not max us out. Right. We did it. Mission accomplished. We've got ourselves working frickin' mana restoration thing. Okay, cool. So I can. Let's try it in a party. Let's do one more test. Let's pull up Firefox here. Get this going. I will do this in off window. And I will make it to where, let's see. I'm porting myself back to Hellengard. I can even do it without having to refresh. If I do check. I'm logging into one of my test accounts at the moment. Ron Swanson. It's me. Alright. I believe last time I was Southside. So re-invite Ron. I believe we are out of party now. Where are you at, Ron? You know where he is. Hey! Ron Swanson's now a Titan. Or Assassin. Okay. Here we are. Sure, why not? Put me here. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to invite. Oh, okay. We should be partied up. Yep. Alright. And now... Alright, so... I have to update our health, though. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Boom. Okay. So, Ron is very low on. Way more rage than that. Okay, so here we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I don't know if I'm going to keep it at 50%, but that looks pretty good. I mean, maybe 50% if it has a long enough cooldown on the spell, but I don't know. We'll figure out how that goes. Cool. Well, that actually did not take nearly as long as I thought it was going to take, and I consider that a success. So, yeah, don't even need this. This now. Oh, great! Now I can do just general spell effects. Ease. I like that. Comment on this. Do that. Reset one last time. And we actually have functional code. Boom. Oh, one thing I do need to make sure. This. By this code, it should be less than 0, so it should always not be 0, but if we don't ever want to divide by 0. So this will just say, basically, if this is the same as saying not 0. Just a little bit of extra code there, but who knows? One day I'll accidentally throw in a that there, or change it around to some point where it could be 0, and then all of a sudden we're potentially dividing by 0, and then we've got game crashes. Don't want that. All right, great. That's all I really had planned for now. I actually expected that to take a bit longer. Go ahead and push that live. That last little patch. Or not 0 patch. Let's try one more time to make sure we didn't break anything. Oh, boom. We are still jamming. Boom, everything looked great. Let's test this one too. Doing HP and NP. Alright. Innervate and restore. Probably should do this in the opposite order if we're actually playing. We go rage. Oh, look at my rage now. And then innervate is, or tranquility is based on your stats. So that's why I didn't do nearly as much healing, because this is what, rank 1 in, or tranquility, yeah. So it's not percent based. So always the battle. Do we do this percent based or do we do it not percent based? That is the question. And it's a damn good one. We'll figure it out on the fly as we go, but shoot, I'm gonna pick this up later. Maybe later today we'll maybe do the NPC debuffs work. That's gonna be a tough one. That'll be a tricky one, but all right, I'm gonna call it for now. That was fun. I'm glad we got it working. Super heavy about that, as a matter of fact. Okay, well, this is Hobbs signing off, and I guess catch it next time. I'm doing the stream. Oh, yeah, titansoftime.com. Play the game. Go subscribe to our... No, don't subscribe. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and do all the like up stuff. It makes a huge difference, and we totally appreciate it. All right, thanks, guys. Peace.